Hi, hi, this is Norman Kochnek here from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek. I'm sharing the space with a lot of very interesting people. Obviously, we have the likes of Mervyn Richards. Wave, Mervyn.
Good morning.
Chris Vernon there as well.
Hello.
But you know what? I'm in a kitchen here, and I'm stumbled across this gentleman over my left shoulder. He just so happens to be one of the most legendary Australian fast bowlers ever, namely Len Pascoe. Pascadorian was the full name, wasn't it? And now Len's here. We'll talk more with Len now. Len was the first ever bowler to bowl under lights in what was then World Series cricket, and also scored the first runs. But he'll tell you more about that story. And had often a duel with good old Merv's brother Viv in many a match, which was a test of anyone's character to be able to bowl against the man of Viv Richards' ability. So, guys, we've just to quickly say we've actually just come into a test situation, of course, which the first day's play, England were all out for a 205, which was closer to my 171 than any other prediction, Chris, you must admit. And, of course, India have only lost the one wicket, and Rohit Sharma's not out with Pujaras and 1 for 24. So an enthralling day of cricket. Lawrence batted pretty well, I thought, and so did Stokes, and somewhat Bairstow, but otherwise it's pretty ordinary from the England side. All right, before we get into the cricket, I can't resist. I've got an amazing man here, a true gentleman. He and I have been playing with YouTube channels because Len is actually an IT guru. He's better than me, and Len's been setting up the YouTube channel of Jeff Thompson with me. We put all these great videos up. We've got Doug Waters with his YouTube channel. And obviously, Len here has his own YouTube channel, which is amazing. Has some amazing footage, not only of cricket, but of life, of Australia. Len's been responsible for so many famous Australian musicians as well. We're going to talk a bit about that as well. We're waiting on Pretty. Pretty is about to join us any minute now as well, by the way, guys. All right, so Len, you want to take over if we're going to talk a bit about what you're up to?
Now, the first time I come across Viv, that was in a Sheffield Shield game. He was playing for Queensland and I was playing for New South Wales. Now, Viv has come to the wicket and like I usually did, you had to get in early with these batsmen. If they get their eye in, they can butcher you right up. So I bowled a rather venomous bouncer to Viv. And he's sort of got halfway through it, and up in the air it went. And the ball was coming down just short of backward a square. And Alan Turner was there, and he's run around it 4 times, done 3 somersaults, a simple catch. I'm all happy about it, and he never got a glove on it. So being a good guy, I said to Alan Turner, I said, never mind, he can't bat. I'll get him next ball. So I give him the same ball, another short ball, and the last I saw of it was going over the grandstand. I needed a cab to bring it back from Vulture Street.
Oh, I also want to just bring you up to speed as to what happened in Antigua last night with the first T20 between Sri Lanka and the West Indies. Of course, it was a record-breaking T20 for us because it was the first to be played on that particular ground internationally. And
that was the coolest cricket.
Sri Lanka was bowled out for 132. Well, they weren't bowled out, but they in the T20 overs, they made 132. And there was a hat trick by a young spin bowler there. Yeah, he got Chris Gayle with one ball and also followed with
Nicholas Puran.
That's correct. And then it was a record breaking, 6 sixes in 1 over by the captain, Pollard.
Were you there? Merv, were you there? Were you actually at the ground?
No. It was a no spectator game.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't find it anywhere on the television. No station whatsoever. I tried to get in on the phone to see whether or not I could pick it up from Cricket Info with no luck though. but it was coming over on the radio. It was broadcasted on the radio.
Actually, if you went to
But it
Facebook,
seemed to be a very interesting and exciting T20.
well, actually, would you believe West Indies cricket covered it on Facebook? That's where I saw it. I saw the game, the whole game.
On
watched
Facebook, I never
Yeah.
tried that. Yeah. Wow.
Windies cricket, their actual site, they have all their games fully live via Facebook. We'll look at that next time.
I'll make some mental note of that. So the next one I think is Friday. So I'll definitely tune into that.
Well, you're our roving reporter there, Mervyn. We're going to get you to be now on the
Sorry?
spot. You're the roving reporter. We're going to get you to be jolly on the spot.
Okay, fantastic. I see we're joined by a pretty lady. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got your parlour here. Meet Len Pascoe.
Namaste, everyone. Hi, Len. How are you? Nice to meet
I'm
you.
very good. I was just saying to Norman, you look so much like my wife.
No, the line is
see a
you look
photo
like
right
my
here of his
future
wife.
ex-wife.
No, wife, I only got one. I can't afford any more.
No, it's not an ex-wife. It's a current wife.
Yeah.
It's great to see a lady take so much interest in cricket, and they're very knowledgeable. And women's cricket here in Australia is really, travelling at a tremendous pace. A lot of young girls taking it up, and it's people like yourself that are leading the way.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so sweet. Thank you.
I'm dying to show you. I can see the photo of his wife on the board over there.
Oh, please
I
show
think
me, please.
Towards the end, we'll do that. Hey, well,
Okay.
if that's okay. Right?
Yeah, it's all right.
No, it's a lovely photo, and it does look like you, pretty. In fact, spitting image.
Is Len good in the kitchen as he is on the pitch on the field?
I can tell you, the older my wife got, the more kitchen duties I end up doing. So not only do I got to pack the dishwasher, I got to unload it now, do the lawns, paint the house, take the garbage out, sweep the floors, vacuum. I do everything. But then she's earned her stripes.
That's
Give me
what
three
you're there
beautiful kids.
for.
Bowling to Viv was much easier, right?
I was so glad when my son decided that he didn't want to play cricket. He wanted to play basketball.
Right.
The truth is, Len is an amazing gentleman. I've been having amazing chats with him over a toasted cheese sandwich, a lovely cup of coffee. In fact, quite a few. We've had a ball. And
Wow.
for our viewers, very important. If you go to Len Pascoe or Jeff Thompson or Doug Walters now, you go to their YouTube sites, you are getting the real deal. You're not getting somebody pretending to be them. It's them. And I'm so proud of that. And seeing some of the videos I've seen today, they're exciting. Jeff Thompson with a pig, wrestling a pig, and playing good old Len fishing away in all sorts of great spots. Amazing. And not to mention, he runs bands that are doing like covers for Roy Orbison, the
Johnny Cash, Blues Brothers, Elvis. And yeah, there's quite a few. I've even got a Beatles show, the Fab Four. But with the COVID, has put an end to all that entertainment stuff, which is really, really sad. What's happening with the hospitality industry. With the Sri Lankans, I've had an excellent relationship with Dr. Saharsha Kudanandra. He's been involved with the Shanti Foundation and to raise funds for a palliative care unit in Sri Lanka. Wow. And for dialysis machines. What a lot of people don't know is their crops have been poisoned with herbicides and pesticides, and it's blown out their kidneys. And so the Shanti do a fantastic job. I believe the hospital may now be opened, or very soon to be opened there in Sri Lanka.
And also other countries in the future as well.
Third world countries, they're looking to do that. So that's the other side of the cricket. You get involved in charities and fundraisers. And,
fantastic.
And when you're in the entertainment industry, and that's what we are, whether we're cricketers or whether we're involved in the music industry, we're entertainers, and our job is to make people happy, let them forget about their troubles for that short time.
Isn't it amazing? I just realised that every single one of us is wearing a hat, except for
I'm not.
Well, you're wearing a natural hat. Your beautiful hair. Now, guys, we probably need to talk a little bit about the test, don't you?
I know.
Right.
So 205 all out. I was pretty close. What did I say?
Very close. I
171?
was close to. You're closer.
You were very close. Chris was nowhere near it.
Nowhere.
What I can ask him, Norman, is to send me 6 lot of numbers that's gonna come out on the weekend.
Well, we're ahead of time.
You
That's
should
right.
do that,
I've actually
Norman.
got them right here.
I share the earnings with you.
If imagine that was true, I'd have I've got it here. I've got the lotto. There we go. There's the future lotto numbers. There we go. Just take it down, guys. Just.
They're like Doug Wallace's batting tips.
So guys, you think that India is gonna try and bat once?
Is that the Indian first team, second team, or third team that they're playing?
They need their first. They need their
a very
first team to
good
beat
team.
England. They don't need their first team to beat Australia.
Oh, watch out for this guy here, this Chris Vernon. He's
Are there any umpires or ref around?
what? Sorry.
No, I was asking if there were any referee or umpires around for that shot that Chris threw at you there, Norman.
Yes, that's exactly right. Now, okay, so 205. Lawrence, well, he proved worthy of being in the side.
Yes, very impressive. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think Bairstow survived a scratchy study. He was okay. And Ben Stokes tried his guts out. But the rest of the team were very ordinary. Again, Aksar took early wickets. What's going on there, Chris? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't think there's any excuses today. I think that it looks by far and away the best wicket of the series. It looks like it had a bit in it for the seamers, a bit in it for the spinners, and it could bat on it. So I think England were just outclassed today, really. I think that there's clearly some nervousness in the ranks about facing good spin. I think that they're clearly in the heads a little bit, and mentally they look shot, and they look like they need to get home and to have a rest. I think that they just don't look confident at all, do they, about scoring runs against bowlers, even on a pitch that you would suggest was probably at its best for batting, probably today and tomorrow. So, there's some positives. Lawrence batted well. Stokes looked somewhat back to close to his best before he got out. But look, India just outplayed England today, and there'll be no excuses apart from they were just not good enough.
Do you think the crowds make a difference? Looking at it, the grandstand from a distance, there was hardly anyone there.
I think they were sat up in the shade from what I saw. I think that if you look at that, there's a bit of an overhang, and it looked like they've all gone up into the. But I guess in such a big, when you look at the MCG or the Gabba, when there's 20,000 people there, it looks like it's completely empty. So maybe because of the stadium size, it looks like there's less people there than there might be. But
it wasn't half full though. It wasn't half full.
No, I don't know how many people were there.
Yeah.
No, I know. In the when we played in front of big crowds at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and you walk out through the gate, and you just feel the energy coming from the crowd. Somehow or another, you jump higher, you bowl faster, you bat better, you feel better. It just brings out that extra 5 or 10% that's hidden away there. And I couldn't help but think, well, what's the atmosphere like for these guys to be playing in front of empty grounds? It must be tough.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But Len, when you talk about crowds, Len, my gosh, the first day-night match ever at the SCG, when they had to open the gates, explain that experience.
When the amalgamation happened between Kerry Packer's team and the Australian Cricket Board, what happened was it was at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and there was that many people lined up. You could see the queue to get in from the players' dressing room that went back, must be 500 metres back. Kerry Packer went down and just said, "That's it, nobody pays, open the gates." And somehow or another, over 56,000 people ended up inside that cauldron, inside the Sydney Cricket Ground. And I remember as Dennis Lillee come into bowl, they were banging on the fence, calling out, "Lee, Lee, 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 Lee," in a big crescendo, and that ball would fly and Gordon Greenwich would be there, and he'd play a shot, and the crowd would roar. And you didn't need power plays. You didn't need all these things they come up with. It was just the charisma and the power of the players and the chemistry of the crowd.
And the very fact that Len bowled the very first ball in that, what a privilege, what an honour. And he was surrounded by amazing bowlers as well. That's quite a privilege.
And I never got a set for it. First ball under lights, no ball, wide, first run, took a wicket. We had a reenactment for the pink ball test. They asked me would I come with Barry Richards and do a reenactment. And I thought, well, this time it's not going to be a no ball. So I went back there, and here I am in this delivery to Barry Richards. And you know what? It was once again a no ball going down the leg side. Barry looked at me and he said, nothing's changed.
This man was also responsible for the first helmet with Ian Davis, the first set of coloured clothing. It was actually in the bathtub of Ian Chappell's house?
It was Ian Chappell's. It was his wife that was dyeing the white clothing in that glorious pink that the West Indies didn't like. It was all done in a bathtub at home. And, let me tell you, you know who's really responsible for the helmet? Your lot there, the West Indians. When you've got the light, I'd like to see Joel Garner playing T20 and see if they can slog him. Those Yorkers he used to fire in. He broke the front pad of Greg Chappell 3 times in 1 year. He had bruises on his bruises from being hit on the front pad by the big bird. And tell me, how do you slog Michael Holding? How do you slog Andy Roberts? You just don't, you know. So they were the ones responsible for the development of the helmet, which the guys enjoy now.
Amazing stories. Look, honestly, there's nothing more interesting than listening to Len talk. And I mean, one little thing I need to add before we get into the game, it's too important to miss. Len's involvement, well, lifelong involvement with Jeff Thompson. They both played cricket from what age? From day dot.
I run into Tomo as 7, 8 year olds in our primary school cricket. He took 5 wickets for Connell Park, and I took 5 for North Bankstown. And then we got together again in high school when we were around about 14, 15 years of age. And the rest is history. We played together at Bankstown. We never played together for New South Wales as a state, but I went up to Queensland a year after he went up, and I was going to play up there with them, and didn't work out, come back, and that same year I played against Queensland for New South Wales, and that's how it all started.
And they both, of course, bowled for Australia. Can you imagine 7, 8 year olds together all the way through? It ended up being bowling together.
Amazing.
But was Thompson also a javelin thrower? Why he had that action?
Well, it was at school, and we're in the school javelin, right? There was a guy there named Sokolovsky, and you know, he was the toughest guy. He'd repeated about 3 times his final year at high school just so that he could win the combined high schools javelin. So here you are on Punch Bowl Oval, and Tomo's picked up the javelin. He throws it, and it's about 1 metre further than Socko. Socko throws it, it's about 1 metre further than Tomo. Tomo throws it, it's about 2 metres further. And he comes up to me and he says, I've had a gutful of this. The next one, you just wait and see what happens. Socko throws his, and he's just reached Tomo. Tomo's picked up the javelin. He's thrown it out of the ground, across the road, and into Punch Bowl RSL car park. And he went to the CHS, and Socko went up to nowhere. But that's what happened. Tomo was an exceptional athlete with the discus, the javelin, running. He could have played soccer for Australia, much like Viv. A lot of people don't know that Viv was a very, very good soccer player. And
So Merv Richards you were a champion.
That's right. That's right. Any game Viv played, you know, he played it with passion, and he always said he doesn't like to lose because there's only one good feeling when you win, eh? So he gave his guts. But if he was great in defeat, he would come over and say, well played, you know. But look out for me the next time, you know. He was that type of person. He played good football, you're right, and basketball, and he played tennis also. Yeah.
Now, I've just got a comment here from Sanjay Chambers. Chris Vernon, smile. Come on, smile.
Is he making reference to the way England's going?
I think so.
Yeah.
Going to a funeral.
No. You have to show Chris that everything's going to be all right in India. You know, he's still thinking about.
Everything is always all right in India.
If I was miserable every time England had a bad day at the office, then I would never be happy. So, no, I'm all good. I'm all good. 3 o'clock get up, so I may be in need of an afternoon sleep, I think.
So Len, this Chris, he played cricket with Kent. He's played for the MCC, where I got the hat from. He's not a bad cricketer. I mean, he didn't see me at my best, but anyway. But Chris is.
I've just got something to add to this. Now, Kent, I remember Kent. That's where Tony Greig played. That's where Kettler Vessel played. So I remember Kent. We played there. And I also, isn't there a beach near your way there somewhere?
Yeah, Canberra Sands, maybe.
Yeah, the sand grains were the size of melons. I've never seen.
It wouldn't have been Canberra Sands. Canberra Sands is nice, but Len, I had a comment. One of my good friends who's been in the chat, John Bowden, he played at Bankstown in '93-4. So he said, "Can we finally put to bed with Norman that Bankstown are the best club in Sydney?"
Oh,
Hell no!
Gee, look, I had many lovely experience, a very memorable experience with Bankstown, but also captain and played and coached Sutherland. I had the pleasure of coaching Glenn McGrath, Stuart Clark, and I've had a little bit to do with Steve Smith as well. But it's no surprise to see the likes of Glenn McGrath and Stuart Clark and Steve Smith come through the ranks there at Sutherland, because John Dyson, he captained the team, and I was their coach, and Steve Rickson's also with Sutherland. So there was a lot of experience there at Sutherland. But Bankstown, they've worked very hard on their facilities, and they've had some tremendous players there. They're both very, very good clubs.
That was a very diplomatic answer, by the way, I think. No, come on, is Bankstown or Sutherland? Make a choice.
I spend equal time with both. I'm passionate about both of them.
Now, also, what was I going to talk about? The relationship that Len has with so many things blows me away. The man's a true gentleman. I'm in his home. It's in Oyster Bay, which is just behind us. There's a lovely Georges River, magnificent spot. The name Oysters Bay says it all. It's a beautiful spot. The house is amazing, just full of history. Lovely big deck out the back there. It's just a magnificent home. So I'm very privileged to be here. I was not meant to be here this long, but we got chatting, and you can imagine Len and I talking. Oh my God. All right, back to the game for a bit. We've been 22 minutes on. We should be talking about the game. Okay.
Yes.
So where is it going to head? 1 for 24. Rohit Sharma resolute there. Unfortunately, Gill got LBW.
He's not in such a good form, to be honest. You know, this is the first time I've seen Pujara play better than Sharma.
Yeah. So
I think he's closer to getting a 50 and possibly 100. Yeah.
What about James Anderson, Chris?
Oh, he's just immense, isn't he? He's
a genius, isn't he? He's absolutely
5 overs, 5 maidens. As I said, there's a few answers. I don't think India have solved the opening batting slot. They were showing a bit of footage, and if you look at Gill, he plants his foot a little bit. If you watch him bat, and he's got out LBW 3 times in the series, so he needs to look at that technique before he comes to England, because the guys will know that they'll definitely look to explore that. So, he's got some work to do, I think, before he comes to England. Pujara's not got a Test 100 in 28 knocks, so he's going to be really keen to.
28 knocks?
I think it's 28 knocks since he got a Test 100. So, that's for a guy of his class and quality. He'll be wanting to put those right. Kohli's been a little bit dry for a while. I think they said 35 knocks in international cricket since he got 100. So, there's guys who are going to be very keen to score runs while the pitch is good tomorrow. And, England's only chance if they come out in the morning and can do what they did in the last test. But, it looks like India are going to probably rack up 350 and probably knock off a 50 or 100 in the last innings comfortably, I would suggest.
That's the most depressing I've ever heard you talk about your team, Chris.
Well, England will be optimistic. They'll back themselves that they can come out in the morning. But I think the pitch is a good one. I think it's probably the best wicket of the series in terms of all-round cricket wicket. and it's going to be at its best to bat the first 2 days. So if England have got any chance in this series, they're going to have to put a rocket up their backsides overnight and come out firing in the morning and hope that they can take some early wickets, because if not, it could be a long day and a half in the field for them.
What I've noticed with the spin bowlers in recent years is a lot of them are losing that the variety in their bowling. They seem to be robotic, the same thing over and over and over again. I don't see too many bowling around the wicket, or the arm straighter, or the angle arm, the different position, the seam is landing on the wicket, the different pace. I think the T20 game has forced them into this area of firing the ball. And one thing that's come out recently is the spin bowlers are getting a little bit more their way, and the batsmen are showing that they haven't faced enough of this sort of thing, and there's big cracks in their play.
Very, very well said. I think that's a very impressive thought process. And Len would know, having had as much experience as he has. And Len was obviously a fantastic coach. We've heard the people that he coached. He actually set the way for Glenn McGrath, for example. We've got a few questions that I wanted to read out. One in particular was around the pitch. Now, we haven't talked about the pitch that much. The fact is it was, as Chris has said, actually a very good pitch. Correct?
Yeah, it's nice to see a test. I guess it's a classic. It looks like it's going to be your classical Indian subcontinent wicket. You know, there was a bit in it for the seam. There has to be a bit in it for the seamers, and Siraj and Sharma. That it swung around a little bit. Jimmy obviously got a bit out of it, the new ball, and looks like it's going to spin. But I think people obviously last week, because England got stuffed, that I'll call a spade, and last week the pitch was poor, but it looks fine. It looks good at the moment, and it's nice to see. I think that I think it's good to see that a proper cricket wicket, and we can have some good Test cricket. And England were exposed and were really poor today, and India were good.
Merv, I'm excited that you're so close to Coolidge Cricket Ground there, the old sticky wicket, which is also called Stanford Park, or ground on one side. That is an amazing ground. But to see, I keep thinking back to today. Imagine a person getting a hat trick. But imagine you got a hat trick, and then within an over, the batsman.
You're top of the world, then. Yeah.
What would you feel? How would you feel? Imagine that.
I don't know how I'd feel. Destroyed. I just want to bring something up about West Indian wickets.
Which one comes first? If you had someone hit 6 sixes off you, and then you went and took the hat trick,
better.
You probably feel a little better than getting the hat trick and the other way around.
But the wickets in the West Indies, from what I remember, were nothing but mattresses. Roy Fredericks, he would just, I don't know, you bowl it, the fastest ball, he just looked there, smile at you. And, every wicket we play,
they love it, but they love when it comes on to you.
I tell you one that I remember. Jeff Thompson was coming out of contract problems and joined World Series cricket. So here we are at Sabina Park, and at one end of Sabina Park is a big concrete wall, which they used as a sight screen. And Gary Gilmore is bowling, but the match was all set up as the world's fastest bowler against the world's greatest bat. And it was an incredible scene. I'm sitting inside the dressing room looking through the little windows there with Kerry O'Keefe. And the crowd is all got their transistors in their ears, and whatever the commentators said, you'd see the crowd mimic what the commentators and what happened out in the middle. Gary Gilmore asked for a helmet to bowl in to Viv Richards so he wouldn't get hit off the rebound off the concrete sight screen.
Oh.
Can you imagine that, Chris? Can you imagine that? You're a bowler putting a helmet on because Viv Richards' batting hits it so hard past you that he hits
so funny.
The concrete side screen. That's amazing.
It's a true story.
Incidentally,
when the confrontation happened, you could hear a pin drop. It was the most enthralling 3 overs you'd ever want to see. And Viv got through it. He scored 50, and Tomo was looking for breath.
Viv is like that. Viv is very much like that. I mean, even at a practice match, and you're bowling, and he thinks that you're not bowling good enough to give him a practice. When you pitch one up, he's gonna hit it straight back at you, you know.
You know,
In protest,
against
like,
Sri Lanka,
yeah, he's like that.
when
He's like that.
When Sri Lanka was coming into first-class cricket, they had a trial match, or they had early matches against New South Wales, and there was a fast bowler there by the name of Ravi Ratnayaka. I don't know if you can remember him or not. Anyway,
From Sri Lanka.
he's from Sri Lanka, and Ravi's come up to me before the game, and he said to me, he said, "Len," he said, "you're a fast bowler." And I said, "Yes." He said, "How do you bowl so fast being so fat?" I put 4 of them into the casualty ward at hospital. I was just going to have a nice, easy match, you know. As soon as I said that, the hair went up the back of the neck, and I thought, "Oh, yeah, fat am I?" And that's it. 4 of them ended up getting x-rays for busted arms and fingers and things. But he was a fine bowler. He turned out to be a very fine bowler for Sri Lanka.
Right.
And Ramesh Ratnayaka, they weren't related, were they?
But Chris,
Yeah.
Chris, I don't know if you would agree with me, really, right? But as England batted first, you know, they output a little 200 and whatever it is, right? But when you're playing a test and you bat first, right? In order for you to make, you know, to ensure that you don't lose the game, you know, you occupy the crease for as long as possible, where runs are not important, eh? You know.
What happened?
Yeah, I think that.
So by the third day, you can look to see which way you're going to try to go. You know, whether I should attack some more to see if I can get a result out of it, or you're saying you're making sure that you don't lose the game.
Yeah, I think that they would have been disappointed that they would have tried to do what they did in the first test, which, you know, they played close to the perfect test match, really. You know, bat for nearly 2 days, and only bat once significantly. So there's obviously just some demons in their head. You know, India bowled well. You know, I think India have just bowled tight and not given them much. But it's clear that England have just not got the players, and same for every side in the world, really. You know, England are the only side to win a test there in 8 years. You know, it's not just an England problem. It seems that it's pretty much a worldwide trend at the moment that sides struggle in India against quality spinners, and they just got to try and work a way out to do it. But you know, not many sides win in India. You've got to be at your best. Look at the England side that won over there last time. A side won. You know, you had Cook at pretty much his peak. You had Peterson. You had Anderson, Swan, Panesar, Pryor. You know, you had a side that had just won in Australia, and at the peak of their powers. So it's tough to win over there, but they need to go back to the drawing board, and they're probably quite thankful that they only have to go there once every 4 years.
You know, in every cricket match, there's a rhythm of play. There's a time when the opening batsmen start and they'll bat a certain way. And as a player, you know very well, you've got to tune in to the rhythm of play. You know when the drinks are due. You know when it's lunch. You know when the batsman's going to, before the session ends, they're going to play a different way. You have to be smart to be in tune with the rhythm of play. And I think that's what you're talking about. If you try to play outside that rhythm, you start getting out on your own, and that's when you get into trouble. You're not reading the game. The other thing is, it was brought to me by John Dyson in discussions just recently. A lot of their players at Sutherland and a lot of the young ones that are coming through now are talking about, we've got to move the game forward all the time. We've got to move the game forward. So, and they're getting out in their 30s, and they don't understand why they're getting out in their 30s or 20s, because they're so hell-bent in the modern game to keep moving it forward that they lack that ability to concentrate, that mental toughness.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing about it, what I was told also when I was playing, it was that, you know, at times, when you know, if you are defensive, you know, you just don't, in the middle of the over, or, you know, the fourth ball of the over, you decide that you're going to attack. You know, you wait for a break, like, you know, there's a water break, and the brain sort of do away with the defensive part of it, and then You can change and say, well, look, after this break, I'm going to be a little more aggressive, you know. But in the middle of your in the middle of your you know, the brain doesn't, I think, switch that quickly, you know, as a batsman.
It's true. I mean, look, your brother, my God, he seemed to have that ability to know exactly what he's doing. He was talking, I saw him in a video earlier today with Virat Kohli, and he would mentally visualize the game prior to going out there. He knew exactly what he was going to do the moment he got on there, and actually something that Virat Kohli claims to actually do as well. He visualized what he's about to do. And I think in the case of England, Chris, those batsmen were visualizing what they were fearful of rather than what they could do.
Yeah, I think I think that's natural for any side in any conditions. You know, I've opened the batting before, and you go out. You know, I'm sure when and it's been seen when sides tour England. You know, if it was against, you know, when India have been here and struggled, or Pakistan or West Indies have struggled and been bowled out cheaply, they've got those demons or thoughts in their mind as well. You know, it's going to swing, it's going to be hard. I think that's natural as an elite level sportsman, that doubt, and you know, it's 80% mental, 20. You know, you're playing Test cricket, you've got the natural ability. It's just coping in the mental side, and I think that those doubts creep in no matter where you are in the world, whether it's facing Thompson and, you know, Jeff Thompson, a quick bouncy one at the Gabba, or Curtly Ambrose on a quick one at Jamaica. You know, these doubts creep into your mind as a batter, and it's hard to get rid of them. And I think at the moment against Axar and Ashwin, they just are a bit stumped. You know, they've had a long tour, they've been away from home in the subcontinent for nearly 3 months. They just look cooked. They look like they need a rest. It's been a long one for them, and yeah, I think they're just lacking answers to some good questions being asked.
Well, there are two type of players, eh?
Sorry, go ahead, Liv.
No, I was saying there are two type of players, you know, as batsmen, you know. There's some who likes to watch and see what's going on out there, you know, for their turn, you know, next at bat. And they may envision or see something that's happening out there, you know, and then they go with that preconceived mindset. That's how the wicket is playing. Now, Viv always told me that he didn't like to watch what's going on out there. He says that, you know, if he's going at 3, he will know when it's his time, you know, in the back. You know,
because the famous story on, is it Courtney Walsh or someone on Test debut was carrying the drinks, and Viv said to him, he was going into bat, he said, I'm going to go to sleep. Can you wake me up when I'm in, or something? Isn't there a famous story that Courtney Walsh?
Yeah, something like that. You know, he said he would know. He would know when it's a 6 or 4 as to when there's an out. You know, the shouts are different. You know, and so he would like to go in there and see things for himself, rather than, you know, sit out there to watch and say, oh boy, this guy is swinging the ball much, he's doing this, he's doing that, right? So he says he rather go out there and see things for himself, you know. And there's some who likes to see what's going on out there, and perhaps play a lot better by watching, you know.
You know, at the Sydney Cricket Ground one night against the West Indies, and I think it was Desmond Haynes batting. Greg Chappell said to me, go down to the fence. So one of the things you do, and I learnt this in Barbados, is make sure you turn around with your back to the crowd before you get anywhere near the fence. And so I've turned my back and going backwards, and Greg says, no, back further. So I went back a bit further. He said, no, further. So I yelled back at him. I said, I come here to play this game, not watch it. He said, no, you get back there. So he pushed me back. I'm sort of a couple of metres from the fence. And there's this girl in a Playboy bunny suit has jumped out of the crowd and jumped on my back. Now, that's something you want to... I've got a photo of that, and I might just post it. I'll send it to Norm. Of this girl in a Playboy bunny outfit, like a limpet on my back, as I'm coming in with the bowler to Desmond Haynes belting the crap out of some ball on the offside, and Ian Chappell abusing me for not concentrating on the game. That were the days.
Honestly, guys, I must say, and I mean for our viewers especially, you've got to go to Len's YouTube and Jeffs and Doug. The videos they're posting, you've never seen before. They are phenomenal. Behind the scenes, fishing, pig hunting, cricket itself, the attitudes, the way that they relaxed. I wish we would do that today. Really, they had a certain ability to just relax and get away from cricket. And they weren't involved with the hype. And it was just an amazing time. And as we know, the likes of Jeff and Len were such great friends. To this day, they talk to each other every day.
Do you know, I'd like to get a perspective of what draws the ladies and the girls to cricket. What is it that draws you to the game to be as passionate as what them, in some cases, more than the men?
You're not talking to
that's a
cricket,
good
you're
point.
talking to pretty, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, not every, I think it's very nationalistic as well. So I can tell you, I can speak for India. It's just, I think we're so proud of our country for everything, right? And this is just an external expression of, a representation of our country on the global stage. That's why we're so excited about it. And when we play well, it just, everyone gets involved and it boosts like the morale of the whole country. So it's really good. But I mean, it's such a physical sport though, it's like all these guys running around, and I think a lot of women enjoy that. It's very social. You can go there with a group of friends and, spend the day at, at the grounds and so on. Rather
cricket's
than
doing enough?
Maybe other sports are much smaller and stuff. So, I mean, there's many reasons, but for India, it's very nationalistic.
It's a cultural thing, isn't it, in India? Would that be fair? It's you just brought up. You almost don't have a choice in some ways, do you? It's
no,
you're brought up as
not
a kid with
everybody's
cricket.
into cricket in India. You'd be surprised. Many people have no interest in it. Some people really don't like it. But you have a large number that do, and it's very lucrative. And it's been, India's been very smart with IPL and the way that they've sort of set things up. So it's worked out very well for them, I think, and it's a good thing.
2 years, 1 month, and 5 days ago, I was in hospital with a triple heart bypass and a mitral valve replacement. And we have such fantastic doctors here in Australia. My cardiologist, he was Chinese. This is the heart surgeon was Dr. Shant. He was Indian. He could speak Tamil. The nurses were Malaysian, Filipino, and I'm lying in the hospital bed there, and I said to my cardiac surgeon, the Indian surgeon, I said, "Look, when you cut me open and you have my heart in your hand, will you please not bowl a doosra?"
So did he get it? Was he into cricket?
Oh, he did a fantastic job. He stitched me all up and everything. And here I am 2 years or more later, thanks to that wonderful surgeon. And what I did was I gave everybody a signed white cricket ball with Doug Walters, myself, John Dyson. It's about 8 or 9 test cricketers. And I gave it to the heart surgeon. And he said, "Thank you very much." He took it back to India, put it on the shelf at his father's place, and the whole street come into his house to have a look at the ball.
I'm sure.
So cricket's a lot more than just a game. It's a way of bringing cultures together and nationalities, and we see ourselves as human beings, not as separate entities.
But what happened with England, though? They're not quite that way, are they, Chris?
Well, with cricket, I think that it's just, I think it's just a different, it's a different culture, I guess. Like, it's cricket's loved over here, but obviously India's 100 times bigger population size than England, so naturally going to have more fans. But the passion that the guys have in the subcontinent, it's the same in Pakistan and Sri Lanka. It's just cricket mad, isn't it? And it's great to see, isn't it? And that comes across in the IPL and World 2020s and the one-day stuff as well as Test cricket. But
I always say this, that sports is very divisive as other things in life, but this is one sport that really brings people together, even if it's a World Cup, or even when you have countries sort of competing with each other. For some reason, it's very unifying, and I don't find the hostility that you find with other sports. So it's just it's a beautiful game. It's so good. Just a very human game, you know.
Well, look at us now.
But
We've got
in the West Indies, in the West Indies, and I suppose in some other places too, the women, the girls, they have no idea of how the game is, but they can tell you who's cute.
That's the wrong reason to watch it, but that happens in every sport.
I don't think John Dyson's wife thought I was too cute. We were playing against Queensland at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and I'd taken 5 wickets earlier, and I was looking at my 6th, and Jeff Thompson comes into bat, and I thought, that's it, that's 6, that's 6 under my belt, you beauty. Anyway, I bowled the first ball, and fast bowlers, when they deliver the ball, their head is down, and you don't see everything that's happened. Steve Rickson's the keeper, and he dropped the catch. And now one of the things the wicket keepers do is they try to throw the ball back to first slip as quickly as possible, thinking the bowler didn't see them drop the catch. So, I've got my head up and I see Jeff Tomo absolutely abusing Steve Rickson. And I thought, what the hell's going on here? And then I realised what had happened. And Jeff was abusing him because he knew that I'd lose my block over Jeff still being in and a drop catch. So I come in and I bowled the next one. It breezed under Tomo's nose, through Steve Rickson's gloves, 3 bounces into the fence. So then comes Rick McCosker, typical batsman. Don't bowl any more like that to Jeff. You were scared. Don't do it. And Jeff's overheard this. So I've gone and bowled the next one, pitched up like I was told. He took an almighty swing, hit it into the ladies' stand. There's one person sitting in the ladies' stand. It was John Dyson's wife, and I hit her.
Oh my God!
How unlucky is she? I only ever hit 6 in my whole career.
My God.
So I was just imagining, Merv, you've got you on the West Indies, we're in Oyster Bay, Sydney, Australia. Pretty's in California, although representing India. Chris is somewhere in gloomy England because of the state of affairs. Actually, Chris,
I couldn't
Chris,
live
by the way,
there.
has got a chateau with about 17 bedrooms, which he doesn't show us other than photographs.
Okay.
It's not like a place in Oyster Bay. I'm sure that's that. I can guarantee that.
Mate, I was in Packer. I'm 1 street off the water. John Dyson, he went to South Africa. He's got a waterfront.
Slight payment discrepancy. All right, so India, all that for 205. England, sorry, India, no, not India, sorry. England are all out for 205.
Yes.
India are 1 for 24.
Very good.
What are we predicting for tomorrow?
And this is the second day, right? So
yeah,
if India can bat for 2 days, I think England is going to be in a lot of trouble again.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
And they should do that. They might do that. I was a little, I wasn't sure about how the pitch would be tomorrow. Today was a great day actually for batting. I know that the 3rd and 4th and 5th day, not so much, but I think tomorrow will be fine. So they have to make the most of it and make sure that they don't go out cheaply, because that can happen. It happens way too often, I think. But the score is so low, though. So I just don't see them collapsing. And these 2 guys are looking so solid. I think it'll be, they're not going to lose too many wickets, and they'll get that 200. So hey, go for it. Make your ton now while we can.
I'm gonna sort of make an observation here. First of all, Dennis Lilly was involved for coaching the fast bowlers through, I think it was MRF. Mm-hmm. Then they brought over Jeff Thompson, and he coached over there for quite a number of years, and also brought some of their better players over here. And then Glenn McGrath's been over there. India's had the pick of our fast bowlers, so it's no surprise that we see players like Bumrah and the others that were coming through in Australia. India's very healthy in that fast bowling department, but they've had the teachers there. And here we are in Australia. I mean, we've got three pretty good quicks here as well. But when it comes to the spin bowling department, I think India have got to be the best spin bowling attack in the world at the moment. And how do you keep them at bay when the English players haven't had a chance to play often enough at such high quality?
It's a great summation.
It's true.
Yeah.
And they don't have spin-friendly pitches there anyway, so.
There's no
Where,
dropping
in India?
wickets in India.
No, in
Oh,
England.
Australia. Oh, England. Oh,
Oh, those
Oh.
dropping wickets, they're absolute nightmare.
Well, in Australia,
Chris,
no dropping wickets over here. We have proper cricket grounds. We don't have big football stadiums. We
Oh,
play
isn't
cricket on.
that?
Hang on, the SCG's not a problem. Beg your pardon.
I think-
Full
I
ice
love
soil.
the Australian grounds. They're so pretty.
They're just concrete. You know, a slightly different take on
oval?
it. They're great. I love the Australian grounds, but my favourite one when I was the Wacker has got to be up there because it's a traditional cricket ground. I mean, the
That's
Optus
no longer
Stadium.
there.
The Optus Stadium looks fantastic, but it's just a stadium, isn't it? It's not what you'd say is a cricket ground. It's a stadium, and it's the same. And that's what I've been, probably as an Englishman, what I've been brought up on is thatched roof pavilions, you know, on a village green and stuff. And you're used to that sort of quaint English style cricket ground. And look at Adelaide Ovals. It's great now, but it was a much nicer ground when it had the banks and it had the trees at one end, and now it's just a stadium because they're catering for the Aussie Rules football, but it
That's
doesn't
true.
feel
Very
as much
true.
like a cricket ground, if that makes sense.
Well, the Fremantle Doctor, that was a classic for the Wacker,
Yeah.
and we haven't got that anymore.
You know, I saw Joel Garner hit a straight six at Adelaide Oval halfway up the embankment. Poor old Bruce Yardley, he had a heartledge and had to be carried off. But just on those grounds, I think the two best grounds that had the pleasure of playing is Lords and the Sydney Cricket Ground. Those two are just to go out at the Lords and come from the nursery end, and you know, you get that little bit of away movement off the deck. It's just a wonderful ground to play at.
Do you think that the Sydney Cricket Ground is better now or better before it had all the extra?
Oh, it was better years ago.
Yeah.
Bell was
that's
better
what
years ago.
That's what I mean.
And
It seems that those old grounds just having a bit of their character taken out just because they're putting massive concrete block stands in because of the football, and it's just a shame. And it's fine. I get it. It's not. It is what it is. And Wacker, what a great spectacle. I saw 2 Test matches there. I saw when England won in Australia, we got absolutely butchered at Perth, as we always do. And then the year after, India were there, and it was when David Warner sort of first came on the scene and got 100 in a session. And there's no better atmosphere. I saw a lot of the Big Bash games at the Wacker when Brad Hogg was bowling, and the atmosphere with 18,000 people in was as good as any place with 50,000 people in it. You know, and it's just, I guess, from my point of view as a guy who's been lucky to play on some unbelievably nice, quaint grounds, where the preferences.
I don't know. I think Australian pitches are more suited for. Sorry.
Go ahead, man.
No. I was saying I believe Australia pitches are more suitable for equal. It gives you equal. I mean, whatever you put into it, you can get out. You know, it's good for the batting. It's good for
the batsmen have got it more equal.
The bowlers, you know. But and I noticed also is that in the slip cordon, you will see in other places like you know the hands are on the knees. In Australia, they're straighter. You know, they're up straighter because the ball is flying this height rather than knee height. You know. In India, the pitch is a little slow. In English condition, you get the swing and whatnot. So I don't know. In the West Indies, we have no idea of what we're doing here in terms of pitches.
Love it. Pitch is one thing, but the environment, spectators, energy, that's different. It's different everywhere, but there's nothing like watching a big match in India. You know, not a small one, but like one that's consequential, that actually matters. There's nothing like it. Fans go crazy.
You know what it's
there's
like.
So much energy and color and noise and
I bet if you asked a lot of the Indians where their favourite ground is, I bet most of them would probably say Lords, though.
I'm talking about something
Oh,
different,
no.
Chris.
I know what you're saying,
I'm
but
talking
it's
about
interesting.
environment,
No, I'm just saying atmosphere-wise, of
yeah.
course, but it's
But I'm
interesting.
talking
to
about
see
something
it.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
I'm trying to
But
make
no,
a
I wasn't
different point.
disputing that. I'm just,
I
it's
tell you,
interesting.
when you sum
a lot
up,
of
I mean,
guys
why
do
the
don't you
ground
ask
is,
1.4 billion people what they like?
you
No,
know
of
what
course
it's
not.
like to bowl at 22 yards away to Sunil Gavaskar, to Barry Richards,
Yeah.
to Viv, to Clive Lloyd. Let me tell you, when you're at the Sydney Cricket Ground and you're bowling to these masters of the game, I call them surgeons. They don't bludgeon the game. They're surgeons. They dissect. They know how hard to hit the ball. They know where to put the ball in. When you're on a ground like Lords and at the SCG, it's like it enhances their ability even more. And that's what I remember about these two grounds. I remember bowling to Boycott. I remember bowling to Viv Richards. And I remember bowling to Tony Gregg. And then you're at Lords and you're coming in. They said, what was your first ball like when you were bowling in your first test? And I can tell you, I never felt the first over. I was just, I just glided in and I thought, how good is this? And your ball bounces and it climbs and it shoots up past the batsman and hits the keeper's gloves and a loud thud. I mean, that's the stuff that puts the fire in the belly of the quick. And it's just fantastic. And that's the ground, I think, is associated with the players. But some grounds have got no character, I mean, the MCG to me is there's nothing worse than batting number 11 and walking out of the middle, getting a duck and coming back the same ball. The MCG's nothing to me. The Gabba in its early days with Dennis Lilly, that was pretty frightening. Dennis, there's some stories there we might discuss one another time, but now, of course, they're moved to the other stadium there. The Wackers gone. They had trouble with their soil. They couldn't get their soil right. And the SCG, the old days of the bull-eye soil, that's all gone. They replaced it with what I call now compressed talcum powder. And that's the way the game's playing. And, I don't want to see two teams score 450.
No. But can I just relay one discussion? I think we need to mention. When Len was selected for the 11 to play at Lords, okay, who was the bowler that was left out of the team? Who do you think? He replaced someone. Someone was dropped. Jeff Thompson.
Okay.
Now,
that's why he's not on now. It would be fistic. It'd be worse than Meeveet Preeti if Tomo was on it now, would it?
Exactly. But it was. I'll let Len tell the story. That sounds like Jeff would be disappointed. He certainly was. He went to the pub, by the way, and they had to bring him onto the field at some stage. He ran from the side of the ground, badly dressed, sunglasses, all the wrong gear, and jumped onto the ground. That's another story. Len, you tell your story.
See, the centenary test in 1980, the West Indies were there and they'd given the English a real workover. And Crofty used to come around the wicket to Boycott and cause all sorts of dramas. But anyway, it's a centenary test and we're warming up at the nursery end there. And Greg Chappell comes up to me and he said, Len, he said, you better warm up. You're going to be in the field. So I'm expecting to open the bowling, Dennis Lilly and Tomo to open the bowling, and I'd go first change, like we did in Barbados when we smacked you really bad up there. We really nailed you up there, man. And I tell you, you had your best team and we nailed you when we had our three quicks, bloody firing away like your three quicks. Anyway, here we are. I'm going up the steps there at Lords in the dressing room, and Tomo's coming down. And I said to him, Jeff, I just heard your 12th man. I said, you won't believe this, but I've just done my hamstring and you'll have to be playing. So you better get your gear on. He looked at me and he said, if you've done a hamstring, I've done one too. And with that, I ended up taking my position on the field. But Tomo, I was prepared to give him my baggy green and my spot in history. And Tomo would not accept it because he felt he didn't earn it. and people say to me, "What's the meaning of the baggy green?" That's it right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they were great friends. They're lifelong
Great
friends.
story.
Imagine that moment. What a special moment.
It's
Seriously.
very Australian as well.
Len, did you ever play much with or against Botham?
Yes, I did. He called me Pinocchio. It was my job in the centenary test was to make sure that Dennis Lilly was in bed by a reasonable hour. He was my roommate. So we're at the bar there, and there's this big dummy near the door dressed up in cricket clothing with a straw wig on. And, Both has gone up there and grabbed the wig and shoved it on top of Dennis's head. And, I thought to myself, this is interesting. I better get fucked into bed because, he's going to be bowling the next day. And, of course, Ian Botham's job was to keep him up as long as possible. And I said, come on, Dennis, let's go to bed. And Bothas turned around to me and he said, listen here, you Pinocchio, keep your nose out of this. And most of people know that I've got a reasonable, snots, yeah. And I thought to myself, Both, you're going to keep. And they were coming out to Australia later the next season. And I'm waiting at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And then finally, Both comes in. And I cranked it up. I mean, really cranked it up. And the first one was straight under his heart and it went bang. And the next one was near his ribs. And the third one was just outside off stump and he spooned it up to slips. And I just said to him, Pinocchio, eh? And that was it. But I got a lot of time for Both. I got on really well with him. He's a great guy, great cricketer.
Did you play in the 81 series over here?
No, I wasn't there when he smashed us all around. I had knee surgery, and he did a one hell of a job on us that day.
Well, glad that you weren't here because you might have influenced the result in a positive way for the Aussies. So
I don't know. I never classed myself as being a great player. I just a player that tried hard with a bunch of good guys.
But you're going to go straight to Len's site, okay, and have a look at his bowling. The fearsomeness of his bowling, the hands, the way it moved. You didn't know what was going to happen because it was a bundle of enormous energy coming towards you, and the ball it was probably the most aggressive bowler that's ever been, I would argue.
Really? Okay.
If not the most, very close to it.
Well, I'm going to. Norm asked me earlier. He said, "What was your theory against Viv Richards?" And I used to get a lot of criticism about the way I bowled to Viv. Now I'm prepared to let you know what that theory was. 40 years later.
This is a secret, guys. Don't tell anyone.
You don't. No one knows this. See, I realised very early in the piece that Viv could hit your best ball for 6 or 4 or your worst ball. So what was the point of holding back when he first come in? I thought if I can just get one through and hit him on the melon, he's going to think about when's the next one coming and where's it coming from. So my theory was as soon as he comes in, bounce him. It's an air shot. If he takes the top edge, he'll get caught. That's the only chance. Give him 3 or 4 deliveries. He's picked up the pace and everything else. The horse is bolted. You won't see him again. He just butcher you up. And so that was my theory. And I applied it at the Sydney Cricket Ground on that day with 50,000. So the first ball I bowled to Viv outside the off stump. I thought, I'll just give him one. Just give him one. And he played and missed. And I thought, he hasn't got his eye in yet. The next one was a bouncer. I let rip with this thing. And, he's gone to hook it. It's taken the top of his glove over Marshy's head and into the sight screen. So I thought, well, what am I going to bowl him next? And I thought, I'll try him again outside off stump. So I bowled this ball, and a beautiful off cutter, right on off stump, just coming back a little bit towards middle stump. Viv has just leaned over with the flick of the wrist, 4 through mid-wicket. And I thought, that's it, horses bolted. And don't bowl me again, guys. Let Dennis get him out.
That's what happened. Hamstring's gone.
But that was my theory. I thought he could hit someone told Viv to be a batsman you had to block.
Yes.
He could have
But
hit
I
any
also
ball,
heard too,
anywhere,
Len.
anytime.
I also heard too, Len, that sometimes you quickies would overstep the crease just to touch a batsman up. You know it's going to be a no ball, but at least you hurt him a little, just to shake him up a little.
That is a myth. That is a
Okay,
Can't do that
total
these
fine,
days.
okay, good.
Who told you that?
I've heard that. That you
Total
deliberately overstep to bowl a
I didn't
nice
have
short
to
one
try
into
it.
the rib.
No.
Couldn't do it anymore.
Okay.
Well, Beamers, I've heard stories from coaches or people from the circuit. I think Shoaib Akhtar might have been guilty that if you annoyed him, he would bowl you a beamer at 100 mile an hour. And sorry, but to keep him take it in front of his face like that. I've heard some stories. I'm sure.
But you're shaking up, ain't it?
I only ever bowled one bouncer to the West Indians, and that was to Joel Garner at the MCG, where the ball couldn't bounce above your ankle. It was a shocking wicket. It was a bloody beach, total beach. And Rod Marsh and Ian Chappell come up to me and said, I bet you can't bowl a bouncer to Joel. And I said, really? Bet's on. So the guys are all out there that he having bets. So I've gone back to my mark and I bowled this short ball to Joel and dead set. It went, I got it up high enough. It got over his head, all 6'10", and nearly landed on top of the stumps. The whole lot of us all burst out laughing, including Joel.
Can you imagine putting Joel Garner was 6 foot? I thought he was like 7'1". He was a colossus of a man.
You weren't laughing then when you played at Sabina Park the year after and Joel Garner was running in it. You're saying, "Are you a bouncer, Len?"
The first time we saw Viv and Joel was when they were playing for Somerset.
That's right.
In 77. And Kerry O'Keefe's in the stand, and we're watching the Bird fielding, and the ball's gone down a deep fine leg, and Kerry O'Keefe said, "Watch this return," and Joel has just picked it up, flat right over the bails. He threw it and threw our bloke out, and we just, I suppose he can field, eh? And then I remember Viv. It was Kerry O'Keefe was bowling, and he's bowled his leggy, and Viv's gone to, he's taken an almighty swing, and he has hit it straight down the ground. And Jeb Dimmick is really down to dim it off, and he's running after the ball. And then he's realised that the ball must be somewhere pretty close. He looked up, and the ball was coming down, and he put both his hands on his head, went like that, and the ball dropped next to him. Kerry O'Keefe was not a happy little camper that day. But that was the first time I'd ever seen Viv and the Bird. And of course, he played with both of them at Somerset, so they had a great side.
Yeah.
All right, we've had a great digression. I love this, don't you guys?
Yes.
It's just Chris,
Fantastic.
Chris must be happy because he doesn't have to talk about England's demise.
I know, and we don't get to talk about the game.
You know me, Norman. I'm here.
There are 3 more days to talk about that.
I'm here, sun or rain, Norman, offering up honest.
No, I know you've been
opinions.
fantastic, Chris. I know that.
Hey, Chris,
Yes.
I'm going to give Norman the score sheet of Australia versus Ireland in 1977.
Okay.
It was a brilliant 50 that I scored.
That's the thing with
The only
bowlers,
reason I scored the 50 was because Rod Marsh and Greg and Doug Walters went to the Guinness factory. And the rumour that he fell into the vat, and last they saw of him was coming out to relieve himself 3 times before he went back into the vat again.
All right, guys,
all
I'm going to let
bowlers
you
are the
know
same.
about, well, we've talked a bit about the test. Really, there's not a lot to say. It was pretty obvious. The game went to script as far as I was concerned. England struggled against some great bowling. India held up quite decently with 1 for 24. They looked like they're ready for a big second day. And now I'm blessed to have, of course, the presence of Len, which was totally unplanned. And Len and I, Len's going to go on a tour of Northern Australia. Amazing. I'll point you out some legendary music from Matt Scullion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the music is unbelievable. and he's going to be with Doug, Jeff, and Leonard all together. They're going to do a tour with music, cricket history, the whole thing. And when they're up there somewhere in the middle of nowhere, we're going to connect with them again live from wherever they're going to be. That's going to be an amazing moment.
I
But
love that.
can't
That would be
stress enough-
great.
Well, that'd be great. What do you think, Chris? That'd be fantastic, won't it?
Yeah, no, it sounds fun. Yeah, it sounds cool. Sounds brilliant. Looking forward
So
to
the
seeing it.
idea is, of course, that we'll be able to have their YouTube sites well documented. I'm so excited to allow these guys to now blossom with their what they deserve, the history of their videos, incredible action. I can only tell our viewers, if you do nothing else, subscribe to Len Pascoe, Cricket with Jeff Thompson, and Cricket with Doug Walters. Those 3 locations. I'll send it through them. They are amazing, and all of the things that they do, charitable wise, the way they go out and see people around the country, the stories they have to tell. There's nothing better. And Merville attests, when you talk to your brother and people around you, that's magical. It's something that we should never forget.
He's supposed to be coming on this afternoon, on the Talking Parish League.
We are.
We are.
That's right. Okay,
Tomorrow morning.
fantastic.
We're going to be talking on the. Well, Viv is actually coming on a show called what is it called? It's the Antigua Parish
Talking Cricket with Parish League. Yeah.
Talking Parish. And Viv's on live for that. It's unrelated to this, but it's a great thing. But
Len, I'll certainly give him your regards, Len.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and it's been wonderful, hearing your stories, and it's just been great,
Oh,
and
you guys are pressing buttons. You're pressing buttons, and it's coming out like a computer. Look, if you get a chance, guys, go to Norm's YouTube channel. We posted 2 YouTube channel, 2 videos there. One is called 1868. Now, before Australia became the States, the first Aboriginal team went to England to play in a series. In 47 days, they played 43 matches. 2 of them lost their lives, and when they come back to Australia, they weren't even given the ticket to get home. They made no money, and that first Australian cricket team was the first team ever to represent Australia. And Matt Scullion has written a song as a tribute to those players. There's also a second YouTube video which is called Aussie As, and it's a song and it's a YouTube clip on what it is to be Australian, how all the different cultures melt into this one nation. So I recommend it to everybody to go to the YouTube channel and have a listen to and watch those 2, and you'll find a little bit about what makes Australians tick.
Absolutely superb. And I mean, I'm not sleeping overnight. Don't get any ideas here. Even though Len's on his own here, he may proposition me. I don't know. It's Game Guy coming up soon, isn't it?
No, I feel like my wife's here with you there, so I feel good. She's out in their holiday house.
Okay, well, we're going to quickly show you a picture of. Hang on, guys. We're going to take a bit of a walk. Come on, take us on a tour. We're going to take. Come around here, Len. So we've got the photo there.
That's at my son's wedding. That was over 10 years ago. She was in her early 50s. Just there.
So you can see similarities, certainly.
She's beautiful.
It's amazing. And there's a lot of history here, guys. It's amazing. This is your grandson?
Oh, that was my son.
His son.
Yeah.
Oh, so
If you
cute.
go into the other room there, I'll show you. There's a from the centenary test.
We're getting a bit of a private tour here, guys.
This was at Lord's.
Oops.
That's at Lord's. It's all signed.
Can you see that?
It's all signed.
Can you see it?
There was a print that was printed when we were over there, and all the guys, Graham Gooch is there, all the guys signed it, so he takes pride of place. And upstairs in the, I've got the stump from the centenary test, from still with the dirt on it from Lord's.
Isn't it special? I love this.
You guys prefer walking, or is there a little golf cart that can take you around?
Look, there's a lot of rooms, but it's not a big house.
Okay. I'm going to bore you with this, guys. It's worth having a
It's
bit of a
awesome.
Now, here we are. Here, can you see? I'm not sure how well you can see that. Can you see that? Out there, there's the river is just out there. Anyway,
Wow.
all right, guys. I don't think Len was expecting us to do a tour, but that's all right. All of his dirty underwear has already been put into the washing bag.
You're bad, Norman.
All right, guys. I just want to say we know the state of play. Obviously, England will have for 205, India 1 for 24. Chris, I hope like hell that England do well tomorrow, but I'm afraid India will be around the 350 mark, I would argue, by the end of the day's play. And 150 lead on that wicket is insurmountable, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look very good. I'm Rohit Sharma and Pujara, Kohli at the bat, Rahane at the bat, Punt. There's going to be quite a few runs on
Looking
that.
very good. Yes.
Thank you guys for joining me on a very special episode. I'm so lucky to be in the presence of Len. We're going to make sure that we see all of his great history. It's something that I can't, and the synergy between Len and now we've got it right. Len's on top of Merv. That's sort of like there's a strategy there now.
I'm coming with the win.
Let me move it around. I'll put.
Hey, Chris, there's an opening at Sutherland for batsmen. They're going on a recruitment drive for next year.
I don't think I'm quite good enough anymore to play
Yes, you
first
are.
grade in Sydney.
You're an opening
I played a
batsman.
bit.
Come down here and play.
Played in Perth, a bit of subby turf in Perth, which is what a great place Perth is. Can't be one of the nicest spots on the planet, surely Perth.
All right, mate, and I hope our viewers enjoyed this. Again, stay tuned. We've got the various things then. Norman Koch at Norm Koch. We've got Len Pascoe is just Len Pascoe at the Pretty Effect. For Pretty, we've obviously got Chris Vernon, Vernon 158. And Mervyn, what's your handle?
With
No, your handle. What are you at?
Do you have a
at
handle?
goodlooking.com or what are you? At handsome.com?
oh no. Whosoever will made.com.
I've already got goodlooking.com, so it'd have to be mine's goodlooking.co.uk. So.
You have not got that, Chris.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have everything written down below. So thanks very much, guys. It's been a wonderful night. Again,
Thank you.
Norman Kochek. So thank you, Mervyn. Thank you, Chris. Pretty and obviously Len
Pleasure.
for letting he's sitting in his kitchen, not surrounded by cheeseburgers or anything like that. I've had nothing. So, all right,
Take
guys,
care, Len. Okay.
and I'll
Bye.
see you tomorrow. Merv, you're going to be on Viv's show.
I'm gonna be there, but not on the show. I'm gonna try to get behind the cameras. I've got to practice so that when you get recalled or when you get called to the Australian team, I can take over from you.
Oh, is that right? Now, you'll be
Yeah.
waiting a long time. All right. No, all right. Thanks very much, Merv. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. We'll
Okay,
see each
guys.
other
Have a
again
good day,
tomorrow.
guys. Everyone.
Morning show, Chris. I'll send it to you, and the evening show as well. Thanks, guys.
Sounds good.
Namaste to our viewers.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you.
Good day,
so
guys.
See you guys.
much. Enjoy the game.